Well, Dave, we said last weekend that this Easter weekend could prove a pivotal weekend. You were the only team in the top 8 to win both of your games. You finished it in the top 3. Couldn't have gone much better, really, could it?
No, good weekend for us, and as like I say, set us up nicely for a more important weekend. We spoke before, I suppose, the 2 games over the Easter period, saying that the 4 games in 10 days for us in terms of those 2 and 3 really tough away games and one home game. Essentially, our season defined in terms of where they put you. We've given ourselves a great chance with 2 brilliant results over that bank holiday weekend and sets us up nicely for, again, 2 really tough away games this weekend and midweek.
The aim is obviously to be there in 5 games' time, but when you do look at the table now, you see yourself in 3rd. That must help in terms of reinforcing to the players that belief that this is possible now.
We've always believed it's possible. I think the biggest reinforcement, as you say, is it from a player's perspective. I suppose from a staff perspective, and I think probably helped that we had a meeting probably three weeks ago or so now, and I suppose put on the table really where we thought we needed to be, and what it would take to get there. That gave everybody clarity, I suppose, saw where everyone's opinions were in terms of that, and a target to aim for, and what would be required in order to do that. Yeah, it's about picking up results, but it's about consistency in terms of messages, in terms of performances. We spoke about potential adversity and fluctuations in terms of how the table looks. So I think that's helped at the minute because, as you say, we've gone from 7th or being in the top 7 to being in the top 3, but that won't affect anything that we do. As I said, we'll be judged on the 8th of May, whatever it is, the last game, and we'll see where we sit then. And regardless whether our season continues or not from that point, we can then, I suppose, look back on what we've done and be judged on a 46-game season as everyone else will be.
Obviously, this time last year, you were in the middle of that really intense push for the title with Wrexham. Does that experience stand you in good stead now, particularly with the players as well? Because everyone does feel very level-headed and calm right now around the place.
For everyone that was here, yeah, absolutely. And I think even for everyone that's here now, you'll use experience that you have previously to guide your actions, your emotions, your reactions to certain situations. So undoubtedly, the more experience you have of those situations and being in certain places in the division at certain times of the year, absolutely help with how you move on this time. You undoubtedly have to learn from their experiences and use that learning to guide what you do this time. Like I say, we were fortunate last year to I suppose come through that and experience a little bit of adversity as well, and still end with the ultimate success from our perspective. We hope that'll be the same case this season.
Just going back to Monday for a minute, how pleasing was it to really rediscover that goal scoring edge at a time where it's now looking like goal difference come the end of the season could end up being quite pivotal? Yeah,
listen, it was good. I think we were clinical, and it's something that this part of the year certainly helps in terms of results you pick up. I think, like I say, still maintain the fact around the chances we've created. We could easily have come away from Sutton having scored 3. We'll look at it and I suppose a little bit differently. We'll look at big chances, and big chances are ones that we think that we should be taking. I can remember off the top of my head, without even delving too deep, at Sutton 3 big chances we have. We take one of those. I think if you look at the game against Newport on Monday, we probably didn't have too many more big chances. We just managed to, like I say, we managed to take them. And once you take them and get into a position where, I suppose from a player's perspective, there is that easing of tension. If you feel in a winning position, things just flow, and you get to a point where, I suppose, psychologically you're in a good place in the fact that you know that a lot has to go wrong in order for you to not win the game. And on the flip side, that psychologically, the team you're playing against knows that they're probably going away with no points from this game. So the game, the game opens up. You've then got to make, like I say, good decisions in terms of what you do, and we did that, and we come away with a comfortable win, which rounded off a brilliant bank holiday weekend for us.
Thought it was great to see as well. I mean, you mentioned to John that Paddy was stripped and ready to come on when Stretch scored, and I remember looking at Paddy at the time, laughing, smiling, cheering, which I thought really summed up what a close-knit group this is. There's no egos or upsetness.
No, absolutely not. Listen, we made changes over the bank holiday in terms of system, in terms of personnel, but for the good of the group. Like I say, this is a really strong group, and I can quite honestly sit here and say that they all have an argument to say I should be playing in that team, because they all could do it. I think that's something that we've had to sell from the start, if you like, and players have had to buy into, in the fact that if we're going to be successful this season, everybody will play their part. Now, some will feel they play a more significant part or a less significant part than others. That's natural within football squads and how they work. Regardless, the feeling will be exactly the same if at the end of the season we've achieved what everybody's goal was. And like I say, you get no better, I suppose, reinforcement of that by seeing, like I say, your captain who is looking or is coming off the bench to go and impact the game, doing that. We'd spoke about it before the game around, and it's put more probably a term used in rugby around starters and finishers. Those who start the game very rarely are going to be the ones that finish the game. You're going to make substitutions, you're going to change things, and we felt, especially after a Friday fixture, our bench was going to be really, really important to us in terms of how we finished that game, whether it be trying to turn it around in a positive way or whether it be maintaining a lead and seeing that through, and that exactly was the case.
Wootson Stretz obviously took a lot of the headlines over the weekend, but another player that seems to really have stepped up over the last couple of weeks is Kyle Noel. How pleased are you with how quickly he's settled in since joining the club? Because he seems to have very quickly become a key player.
Yeah, and we expected that to be the case, to be honest. I think he himself will potentially say he found it different in terms of physically and what we're asking from him, and undoubtedly we think he'll get better, not just game by game, because at the moment we're probably managing games a little bit. We train at an intensity and play an intensity that's different to, or that people find different in certain circumstances. So without question, I'm looking ahead here, but with one of our pre-seasons under his belt, if you like, he'll get better and better. He's also in a situation, especially away from the football club, where newborn baby and all them things that come with that, which throw its own problems and own, like say, sacrifices that you have to make. So a lot going on with him, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. But he, like I say, he has fitted in really, really well in terms of profile of what we want from that position. Fantastic, and we'll look to evolve that and move that forward the more he gets used to playing with it, and I suppose adapting the role at certain times without going into too much. We've asked him to do different things at different times and been great for it. We think that, especially from our wing backs, in terms of goals and assists, although majority won't be judged on it, it's certainly something that we look for, and thankfully both sides of the pitch we have real threat in both them aspects.
Just touching on injuries for a minute, obviously Sars came on and then had to come back off again on Monday. Campsey missed both games over the weekend. What's the latest on those two? One out, one in. Sars tweaked his calf, or felt his calf, so been scanned and will be out for, not for the, I wouldn't say the foreseeable future, but it's going to be at least sort of 3 weeks, maybe a little bit longer. But I suppose to counteract that, good news with Campsey, so a specialist on Wednesday, and he's fine to be straight back involved. So again, would have been a blow if both had been out, because experience, quality, position they play on the pitch, both similar, and can certainly add to our squad. So the disappointment of losing Sars, thankfully, is counteracted slightly by the fact that Campsey is back available for us, and like I say, the experience of the ones that have been there and done it and played at a higher level will undoubtedly be important between now and the end of the season. Just touching on Gillingham, Neil Harris was pretty open about coming to Edgeley Park earlier in the season and setting up for a 0-0. When you look at the home record, though, I think it's 8 wins in the last 9, so probably a very, very different prospect on Saturday.
Potentially, yeah. Listen, we don't know what they'll do in terms of how they go about it. I think they came to us at a time when, although probably from the outside everyone expected that they'd have enough to stave off the threat of relegation, that at the time they were still certainly had one eye looking over the shoulder. Not the case now. So I mean, how they go about it will be up to them, I suppose. We'll prepare in different ways in terms of, you look at their system over the past sort of few months has been a pretty sort of consistent 4-4-2 and a little bit of flexibility in terms of the wide players and what they do. They changed the system against us to be a 3-5-2, so we'll prepare for all eventualities and ultimately go and recognise that wherever you go, the game's not black and white, it's grey. There'll be questions that we need answering. We'll get some of them answers when we see their team sheet. We'll get some of them answers as soon as the game kicks off, and we'll get some answers as the game progresses through. So they, in terms of, like I say, I spoke about those us having 4 tough away games left, home records of the teams, with Leyton Orient being top of the home form. I think Carlisle being 3rd, Sutton being 4th, and Gillingham, if you look from January, let's say they won 8 out of 9, will be, I imagine, the best since January. It's a tough ask, but our away form's in pretty good shape, and we go there, like I say, on the back of a good weekend for us, and like I say, the pivotal, important games with lots riding and lots at stake, if you like. So we certainly know what we're going to expect. And we're highly motivated to try and come away with 3 points and take that into Tuesday's game.
And in terms of confidence, and I know we've always said that those first 11 games left us with a lot of work to do to catch up, but since then you've picked up at least 8 points more than any other team over a 30-game period. So off the back of such a run, you must be going into these final 5 with almost nothing to fear, really.
Yeah, I think even from the start of the season, results are always going to affect confidence, and we had a little spell. You look back to those first 10 games, even coming out of that when we played Harrogate at home, looked like 2 teams that were a little bit void of confidence. We picked up by winning some games just beyond that, and all of a sudden we've snowballed, and we're being able to put runs together, which has certainly helped where we are. I think at the end of the season we'll reflect on what the first part of the season held for us. I think and we probably can even now look back. There were some questions needed answering. We had a lot of players who hadn't played league football, and probably that first set of games was an acclimatisation of what was expected. It's very easy to say the difference isn't too big. As I said before, we were punished significantly for the mistakes we made, and that hurt us. What we've done is managed to get over that, and as you've seen with teams at the very, very top level, even the best players in the world can suffer with confidence, but when you do build it, you can build that feeling of invincibility, with a caveat that football's a game that has a habit of, kicking you where you don't want to be kicked when you think everything's going really, really well. So we know exactly where we're at. Like I say, we go into the games, the remaining games, in a good place, but very wary of we'll get nothing unless we work hard and control what we can control in terms of our performances. And if we stick to a minimum standard of what's expected from every single person within our dressing room, within this building, then we give ourselves a chance of winning matches with the quality that we have and the endeavour we have to go and work hard and put teams under pressure. That's not going to change. And I said when I first came to the football club around, we'll do everything we can to try and be successful. You can't, unfortunately, guarantee winning. But if we do the bits that we need to, then we feel we give ourselves a good chance.
Dave, thank you for your time.
Cheers, thank you.